Good morning, Mason Nation. It's Thursday, March 28th. Welcome back to Mason Cable News, Mason's morning news program. I'm Joanne Smathers.
And I'm Tyler Byram.
Man, well, I'm kind of hungry this morning. I didn't really have breakfast.
Well, always after the show, you can just go stop by Southside. It's right there, right beside us.
I could go to Southside, but I don't really have meal plans, so I don't know if I have that money to spend.
Oh, really? Well, for everyone else on campus that has meal plans, on the campus of George Mason, a program called Patriot to Patriot created a proposal in August of last year that would recycle unused meal plans to students in need of financial help. The idea was started by sophomore Yara El Mufafi, who found out that nearly 25% of all the students' meal plans go unused throughout the year. In order to prevent these meal plans from going to waste, she thought that this would be a perfect way for students to be able to help one another. Quickly, the proposal gained over 2,000 signatures from fellow students at Mason, and plans are in the works to have more opportunities to sign the petition later on in April and May. Currently, the design is being planned out with University Life, and once there is a clear-cut plan on how to handle this issue, student government will vote on it. In order for the proposal to gain student government support, the Student Senate will need to pass it by over 51%. However, the program has already been presented to Mason Dining, Auxiliary Enterprises, and Student Health Services. For more information or ways for someone to sign the petition, simply log on to connecttomason.com and search Meal Plans Petition.
Wow, I could really use some of those meal plans. March is quickly coming to an end, and April is looking to be a very busy and exciting month here at Mason. In addition to everyday events that go on throughout our campus, April consists of several important weeks. The month will start off with Pride Week, followed by International Week or I Week, and then we have Greek Week. During these very important weeks, Mason Cable Network will be working hard to keep you informed on these upcoming events. But that's not all that's going on. The month of April is also Autism Awareness Month. According to the Autism Society, in order to highlight the growing need for concern about autism awareness, the Autism Society has been celebrating National Autism Awareness Month since the 1970s. The United States recognizes April as a special opportunity for everyone to educate the public about autism and issues within the autism community. Alpha Xi Delta, one of our Panhellenic sororities on Mason's campus, is partnered with Autism Speaks. Their mission this April is to light it up blue. Last year, these women handed out blue autism awareness ribbons and also decked out the George Mason statue in blue. This year, they are looking to do so much more with several philanthropy events scheduled.
You know, Joanne, it's always good to see these sororities with their philanthropy.
It is.
It's very good for the community. And now on a very different note, as college students, we are told of many ways to practice safe sex, but there are those who do not pay attention to the normal lecture. On Tuesday night, Mason Housing and Residence Life held an interesting and informative event that you may have dropped in on just to get some free wings. MCNews reporter Megan Hughes has the story.
We all know that energy drinks and alcohol are bad for you, and we know that there are risks with having sex as well. But have we ever really stopped and thought about it? Beer, Sex, and Wings, an event held on the Mason Fairfax campus on March 26th at Potomac Heights, had the answers.
So our office was invited by the Shenandoah housing community to partner with them to put on this Beer, Sex, and Wings event so that we could talk about safe alcohol consumption, safer sex practices, as well as how to be an engaged bystander and make sure that if you're in an environment where friends or yourself are consuming alcohol, then you're making safer sex choices as well.
I learned a lot myself at the event. For example, did you know that consuming a 6-pack of beer is equivalent to eating 2 cheeseburgers with all the toppings? Also, the harmful effects of energy drinks and drugs were addressed, along with practicing safe sex, the benefits of using certain types of condoms, and lubrication.
Someone mentioned energy drinks and the fact that a lot of college students were being seen in student health with heart irregularities because of consuming an excessive amount of energy drinks. So I think, okay, well, they're having problems, so it must be a concern and a problem here at Mason.
Buffalo wings and many other foods were served, such as nachos, cake, and soda. There were a number of games and races during the event, like the buffalo wing eating contest and the condom race. The night was filled with facts to keep us safe, aware, and entertained. This is Megan Hughes reminding you to stay safe, Mason community.
We'll be right back, and when we return, we'll have your event rundown and begin our look into your candidates for this year's student government elections. Stay tuned to Mason Cable News.
And now for your event rundown.
Not that active, but want to get into shape, but don't know the best way to do so? If you live on campus, you know the fear of the freshman 15 and have probably succumbed to the new lifestyle. Maybe you just need some help. University Life with Aetna Student Health is hosting its 17th annual Health and Fitness Expo happening right now until 4 p.m. today in Dewberry Hall. There will be plenty of information at the fair as well as on and off-campus organizations at the expo to help you learn about nutrition, exercise, stress management, alternative therapies, and healthy self-care practices. You'll be able to participate in several demonstrations at the fair as well. Once again, the event is happening now until 4 p.m. in Dewberry Hall. We'll have a follow-up at the fair on Tuesday's show.
As we mentioned on Tuesday, registration is fast approaching. We want to offer you a reminder to see your advisor if you haven't done so already. Be sure to log on to your respected department's website and find out what advice and resources are available to you. Speaking of academics, if you have been having issues with a particular class, we also want to remind you that tomorrow is the last day for selective withdrawal. Please contact the registrar's office at 703-993-2441 for more information on the process if you are in need of this.
With student government elections approaching for next Tuesday, it is important to know who the candidates are and what they stand for. Shane Smith, executive editor for Mason Votes, brings you a look into the candidates with another edition of One-on-One with Mason Votes.
Hi, I'm Shane Smith, and Mason Votes is covering the student government elections of 2013 this year. We're going to sit down with a couple of senators who are running for re-election or people who are trying to become new members of the organization running for the first time. Today I'm joined with the current senator of student government, Lauren Waldron, who is running for re-election, and we're just going to talk a little bit to her about her successes so far as a senator in student government and get her ideas and her platform for why she's running for a second term. Lauren, welcome, and thank you for being here.
Thanks. It's good to be here.
So let's just start off with something real simple.
Mm-hmm.
What's the mission of student government, and how have you been able to go out and promote that mission around campus and really advocate for the students?
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for asking, Shane. I feel that student government has a presence on George Mason's campus as a voice for the student body. And for me personally, running for re-election for senator, it's been my own personal mission to act as a voice for the student body and to advocate for their needs and their interests. And specifically, since I'm a communications major, for me it's been one of my most important missions to act as an effective communicational person and a good writing person to be able to use these skills and bridge the gap on campus between the student body and the administration, to bridge that gap and to create an effective communication channel.
Okay, and have you worked with any specific administrators here on campus, talk about the committees that you're involved with that would allow you to have that access to them?
Unfortunately, no. A lot of professors just are not willing to lend that extra time. I've personally found to be a part of the school more permanently, and that is something that I hope to work for and with more professors. But for me, it's been my goal, and I've made it a successful mission, and that's something that I want to talk with you more about, is statewide outreach and statewide networking to be a representation of George Mason.
And how have you done some of that statewide networking that you're talking about?
Yeah, well, I've actually worked, I was just recently elected on the Student Leadership Committee of Virginia 21, and I also worked to bring the Lobby Day to George Mason's campus and provide students with the opportunity to voice their concerns, their interests, and help bring support to George Mason's campus.
Okay, and so what are some of the accomplishments that you've personally had being in Senate? So like what kind of bills have you sponsored and have had passed that have directly impacted students' everyday life here on campus?
Yes, thank you for asking. For me, it's been most about bringing these diverse opportunities to George Mason's campus. So like Lobby Day, I had to pass and co-sponsor that bill. Also, I just helped to increase and pass school spirit for the bill, in particular for GMU's Pink Day. I sit on 2 different committees here as a senator in student government, and I sit on the University Services and University Life Committee. So it's been my mission to really bring these bills and these opportunities to the forefront of student government. For me, it's also about increasing academics and academic education, the quality of it, which is why I'm really glad that I can work with Virginia 21 and bridge the connections between student government and Virginia 21 to increase state support and state funding for these educational opportunities and financial aid for students.
Okay, and there was one thing that you said in there that you were talking about the Pink Nation rally, and I saw that when I was doing my research.
Yeah.
That student government passed the bill. I didn't see. I think the number, it might have been. I don't want to say the wrong number, but it was a good amount of money that was spent. But can you explain what the Pink Nation rally is and how it impacts students and why you believe that it was a proper use of student government funds?
Yeah, well, again, I'm very glad that you asked, because during the Senate meeting there was much debate about these allocated funds, as there is any Senate meeting where we do have to allocate funds for an event, because we want to make sure that we're using this money in the students' best interest on campus, and that we're not just throwing away money, because we don't want to do that. We want to see that students do get the opportunities on campus. For GMU's Pink Rally, it was particularly important for at least my vote, and I'll go ahead and say it, I voted aye for the allocated funds. I believe that GMU does need to have more increased school spirit on campus, and I believe that if you look at the demographics here, most nationwide colleges and universities do have this clothing brand, a part of Victoria's Secret's Pink collection. And a lot of students, and not even students, but family relatives or even friends or supporters in the area wear these types of clothes. And it's a good brand awareness to be able to identify George Mason on someone to increase school spirit. But I think it really helps the students on campus to know that their school is being recognized not only in the area, not only as a Northern Virginia college, but as a nationwide college.
Okay, so I can see your point there, but I want to branch out to the more general argument and the things that I've heard in covering, and being a former member of student government myself, for full disclosure, and just listening to students in my day-to-day activities here on campus who talk about what student government does and what they spend their money on. You mentioned that the Pink Rally, was to help increase, student spirit and school spirit here. But do you think that that's the job of student government? Because we have a student funding board who can help student organizations fund their events, and we have class councils now whose main goal is to promote school spirit within each class. So do you think it's an appropriate use of funds all the time whenever an organization comes to student government to say, hey, we need some money to fund our event? I don't know, I guess there's a large population of students who are out there who would argue against that.
Yeah, no, and I can see where you're coming from as well. I am personally biased to the extremes of, I can see it both ways, I truly can, because I do feel that student government not all the times needs to be that soundboard for, oh, I want money for this event. I think it is our job to be able to promote the different departments on campus and say, well, hey, we have the student funding board. And I don't think it is our job all the time to be able to use this money and our money to assist every student's personal interest or personal interest in a particular event. But I think that's where we as a student government need to be able to sit down and effectively pay the necessary time and attention to whatever bills are coming through so that we know that our money is being spent in the best regards.
So just a couple more questions. I saw when I was doing my research that, and I will give this to student government, they're very transparent on your website about all the different bills that come to the floor and that are passed and whatnot, and it gives a great explanation. It's actually the entire bill, like you can read what each dime goes to and whatnot. In terms of the resolutions that you guys passed, there was one that I saw, it was a resolution to promote student health and safety. Now, while that sounds good on paper, what active steps does student government take to make sure that they follow up with that resolution? Because it's one thing to say that the student government of George Mason University, being enacted, supports student health and safety.
Yeah. I actually sit on 2 committees, which I told you about. I've sat on for this past year. I've sat on university relations because of my interest in government relations and communications and public affairs. I've sat on Mason, which is the statewide outreach committee. This semester, I'm currently sitting on university life and university services. So I'm glad that you asked the question, because tomorrow, actually, we have an event that we have sponsored and put on, and it's the Health and Life Expo. So we are making sure that we are advocating for a healthy and active lifestyle for students, and that we're providing the necessary resources. Also, since I sit on university services, I know for us it's a huge factor, dining, that facet of university services, and making sure that our presence with the on-campus police department is active, and that we do have a say, and that we are connected to the police here, because we want them to know that we are watching out, over what they're doing. It's not always that opposite way around, that it's a two-way street, and that we're seeing that all the necessary and proper steps are being taken into consideration for students, because we do want to make sure that this campus is the best place that it can be, and be it healthy living, and dining, and safety as well.
Okay, and so one of the initiatives that you guys have, and I believe it started last year under President Bowers when she was president of student government, the What Do You Want Wednesdays program. And so I see a lot of kids, a lot of students come around and talk to you guys, and it seems like it's a very successful event whenever you do it I think you do it bi-weekly each month. But what suggestions has the Senate moved on, or more specifically, what suggestions have you heard if you participate in that initiative and have actually acted on?
Yeah, well, I can't speak directly for that particular event because unfortunately I've always had classes on a Wednesday afternoon, so I haven't truly been able to monitor that event firsthand.
Okay. And I guess final question, what do you see as some of the challenges facing student government going into next year? Obviously it's been a long year. You guys have done some things and are still struggling to really answer the question or stop the question from being asked, what does student government do? So what do you see as some of the challenges facing student government moving forward?
Yeah, I think one of the key words that you pointed out is transparency. I don't want student government to ever deny a student an opportunity, and I certainly don't want George Mason's presence statewide to ever be diminished, because for me, I think George Mason is the #1 up-and-coming school, and it's not just a ranking online. It means moving the action forward and progressively. I think it is the #1 problem that George Mason does need to make its presence statewide. I think we have, a lot of competitive schools in Virginia. Obviously, Virginia has such a great educational program, but I see its presence in the state something that needs to grow larger, and I see student government's presence on this campus needing to become a little bit more transparent with other programs and with other departments on campus. And I hope as senator that by using my effective interpersonal communication skills, that I truly can be a voice for the student body. And this year, it is my mission to be able to bring George Mason's presence at the Virginia State Capitol and lobbying to area state delegates and state representatives, and make sure that we do get that increased state federal funding for financial aid, and to increase the administrators' income as well, because I do feel like both of those are key issues that are reflecting our quality of academics that we're able to bring to campus and to the student body.
Well, thank you, Lauren. I want to thank Lauren again for sitting down with us. Mason Votes is going to be covering the student government elections, which I believe start on Tuesday.
Tuesday,
correct?
April 2nd.
April 2nd, Tuesday. So make sure you keep an eye on your email for the link that comes out to the ballot. And if you've liked what Lauren has had to say, you're going to have the opportunity to vote for her. So don't forget to vote April 2nd. And again, Lauren, thank you very much for stopping by.
Thank you for having me.
While Lauren is one of our anchors on Mason Cable News, we do not endorse her for a candidacy, but we wish her and the rest of the candidates good luck in this coming Tuesday during the election process.
For additional news and notes, the new Mason Day website is up. Check out masonday.gmu.edu for events and activities.
Mason Cable Network will be the broadcast provider for this year's International Week Dance Competition, which is already sold out show in the Center for the Arts.
For those of you who celebrate, we want to wish you a happy Easter this Sunday. Look out for those eggs.
Also, a huge congratulations to the men's basketball team on advancing to the CBI Championship. The 2 out of 3 game series will be going Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. The locations and times for the games have not been announced, but we'll keep an eye out for you.
That's all we have for you today. Thank you so much for waking up with us this morning. I'm Joanne Smathers.
And I'm Tyler Byram for MC News. See you next time, Mason.